What's up? This is Rio, and today I'm in a 2021 VW Tiguan. And I want to break down why I think this is the absolute best affordable compact SUV on the market. So the Tiguan comes in 5 trims: the S, the SE, the SE R line, the SEL, and the SEL Premium R line. So with the exception of the top line SEL Premium R line, all 4 of the other trims come standard in front-wheel drive and all have an optional 4Motion all-wheel drive system, which is now standard obviously on that top of the line SEL Premium R line. Now regarding price, the S trim that I'm now seated in starts life right around $25,000. Moving up to the SE is about $27.5. Moving up to the SE R line, you're looking at about $30,500 starting price. The SEL starts at $32,500, and the SEL Premium R line starts at a whopping $39,000. So quite a bit of a range from about $25,000 to $39,000, a good $14,000, which is more than half the price of a base S trim. Additionally, you have to pay about $1,300 in extra cost to upgrade any of the 4 lower trims from front-wheel drive to all-wheel drive. But if you're at all on a budget and you want a nice brand new car, brand new reliable refined car, nothing beats a 21 base S level, S trim level Tiguan, especially considering for the 2022 model year, they're going to be refreshing and facelifting the Tiguan. So right now there's killer deals available throughout the line, across the line. You can definitely get discounts and get these cars brand new for the low 20s. I'm talking about $21,000, $22,000, $23,000. I personally believe that once you start creeping into the SEL trim, you're starting to get to the mid-30s, and at that price, depending on whether you're buying or leasing, you have some other options. Lease price-wise, you might be able to look into Audi Q5s. Used cars definitely become another option if you're looking at buying a car, purchasing a car. Again, there's a ton of other cars. You're getting towards a Volvo XC40 and other slightly more upmarket vehicles at that price. Definitely this is the case when you look at the SEL Premium R line, which is really, it's touching almost $40K, but it is worthy to note that I think at that price, you might as well look elsewhere. But in the sub $30,000 price range, these cars are really the best compact SUVs out there, especially for a brand new car, of course. Now I mentioned that this car has a trick up its sleeve, and I gotta tell you guys what it is, which is that despite being a fairly small SUV, this is now, and as of 2018 when they refreshed this car, been sitting on the MKB platform. And because of that, they've been able to elongate the Tiguan. There's actually a short wheelbase Tiguan available in other markets, but in the US, it's only the standard length wheelbase, which is quite a bit longer than Tiguans of previous gens. And what you get for that is a 3rd row, especially a 3rd row standard in the front wheel drive base vehicle, which this is. There is a 3rd row in this car, which, look, it's not enormous. I can't fit back there as a guy who's about 6'2", not even a chance. But for kids, easy, delightful to have a 3rd row, I think, in an SUV this small. It's a surprise, just like the Mercedes-Benz GLB. It's a huge surprise to find a 3rd row in this. We live in a world of SUV craze. I personally prefer cars, sedans, sportier vehicles, and I would take maybe a GTI or a GLI over this personally. There's no denying that with the 3rd row and with the size of this car, it's definitely more of a soccer mom car than it is the perfect car for a single person trying to drive around. I don't know why you would need this much space, but because people seem to enjoy sitting higher up, you enjoy the luxuries of a large trunk and very good 2nd row legroom. I can easily fit behind myself sitting in this current position, which I'm very comfortable sitting here. Can easily fit behind myself. It's super, super nice for having your friends, going places, road tripping, and all that. Now, before I take this car out on the road, give it a little test drive and see how it feels, and tell you guys a little bit more about some of the details, let's do my favorite part of the video, which is the tall boy test. So without further ado, here it is. All right, so taking this car out onto the road, we're actually on a bit of a side road right now, but I kind of immediately noticed that, of course, this car is a commuter. This is not a car that's meant to evoke or elicit any driving pleasure. This is a Volkswagen, so this is the people's car. And that's what this car aims to be. You know, it is something that a lot of people can afford brand new, which is a great thing because it's a fantastic car for the money. And what it does is give you fantastic fuel economy. This car can sometimes go almost 500 miles on a single tank. And keep in mind, this is a small 2-liter 4-cylinder. So you're only putting about $35-40 worth of gas into fill it up, and it can go 500 miles. I mean, that's delightful for a non-electrified, non-hybrid vehicle. Comfort-wise, I mean, you can tell the seats are definitely not meant for any sort of sporty driving. They're very comfortable. They're kind of like a nice couch, if you will, so you feel nice on your commute. I do like the fact that for the SE trim, you can get that nice adaptive cruise control, which I think will only aid in making this car an even nicer commuter. But even despite that, or even without that option, this car is still very easy, very comfortable to drive. I don't ever feel like I have to put an exorbitant amount of effort in to steer it, to get it to do something. And you know, compared to its competition, I have not spent a ton of time in the CR-V or the RAV4, which I feel like are this car's main competitors. But design-wise, I think this car looks, obviously because of its German lineage, looks more like an Audi than, let's say, a Toyota RAV4 looks like a Lexus. And this is especially true for those of you who will swing for an R-Line vehicle, an SE R-Line. Makes the car look quite sporty, and for about 30 grand, it really doesn't get much better than that when it comes to a nice, high-quality, brand-new, sporty look on a nice compact SUV. As I mentioned with the value of this car, you're gonna be able to get this car for brand new for right about 23, 24, 25 grand, depending on discounts. And again, I don't see a car, if you're in the need of an SUV, and that price range that's gonna do a better job than this. The fact that it comes standard with a third row, something else you find standard in this car is blind spot detection. And one of my favorite things about this car is you can hide the trunk cover beneath the floor of the trunk. The fact that it has this nice of a motor. Now, speaking of the motor, this car is very far from a fast car. It can be quick if you give it a bit of gas, but the one thing I will note is it definitely suffers from a bit of torque steer. So just like some front wheel drive cars that maybe some of you have driven, as you give it a little bit of gas, it'll start to pull, for me I've noticed, heavily to the right. It's not something that's impossible to manage, but I think it definitely will draw many people who are buying this car away from ever wanting to give it too much gas. But again, I don't think that's at all the intention of this car, and I think those of you who may want a sportier car should look towards a GLI or GTI from the VW line. Visibility is also quite good in this car. What I noticed is that the side view mirrors are a little tiny bit smaller than I like. I mean, they're definitely not small, but compared to, let's say, an Audi Q5, they're a bit smaller. This car almost has a non-existent blind spot. You have a lot of side windows, so when you glance over, you can see a bunch of what's going on in what would otherwise be your blind spot. The rear window is also quite large, and the mirror lets you see a ton out of the rear. So I think that along with the camera you get in this car, makes the experience really easy. This particular car only has about a 5.5 inch wide screen, but you can upgrade it in some of the trims up to an 8 inch, which is definitely a bit nicer. This one does not have navigation, but you can obviously connect your phone to Bluetooth, play music, and you can actually also plug your phone in and connect apps like Waze and have them help you guide yourself to wherever you need to go. The speaker system in this car is also the base system. I believe there's a Fender system available in the SEL and definitely standard in the SEL Premium R line. I'm sure that's a great system, but I was blown away by how nice this speaker system is for a base system in a relatively affordable car. Clear, loud, nice. Obviously not going to be as crispy or punchy as a really high-end system, but you could listen to music on this with no problems, nice volume, and enjoy yourself commuting or driving or doing whatever you need to do in this car. Something that can haul, something that can get good fuel economy, something that feels refined and high quality while not breaking the bank in any specific area, especially when they're relatively newer. This car really gets all that done, and I think for somebody who really wants to stay in that range, this is where it's at. I do want to get behind the wheel of a RAV4 and a CR-V and directly compare them, but I have found that, let's say, certain RAV4s that I like tend to creep into that low 30s, $33,000, $34,000 range. And you know, in that price range, my taste immediately shifts towards lightly used Q5s and X3s personally. So I think brand new low 20s, this is it, most bang for buck, best car you can get. And I can't believe I'm gonna say it, but it's kind of a soccer mom vibe. In the world of SQ5s and Macans and cars of that sort, this kind of does speak out to you as a soccer mom vibe. And you typically do find that people use these as family vehicles. But with that said, if you're not interested in that and you don't have a family and you want to drive this, or you're young and you want this as your first car and you want to haul your friends around, I'm not trying to diss you. I'm just saying it is what it is. It's a bit of a soccer mom vibe. I'm sure I'm going to piss some people off by saying that. I know a lot of young women who drive this car, but it is what it is. But with that said, as I'm taking a crazy turn, I appreciate you guys for watching the video. Remember to tune back in for more. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Rio. I'm out. Peace.